Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Today's guest, Ruqaya Kalla, is one of the 34 co-authors of the book, Ignite the Modern Goddess, Awaken the Feminine Energy in You and Live the Life You Are Destined to Have. Many of us women in this modern world are feeling a little bit of burnout because we're running around doing things for everyone else, and we give because that's how we feel it's supposed to be. And the last person receiving anything is ourselves. You might work a high-powered job. We might pay all the bills, put food on the table, take care of the husband and kids. And if we're single, we're doing it all. We want a great man, and we've done all the work, but he's still not here, right? And we're exhausted. Meanwhile, we might be staying at a job that we hate, and every morning you get up and there's a pit in your stomach. You know the one. And wonder if things will ever change. Well, several women, a lot of us, have forgotten how in our natural state we can overcome everything with ease and grace. That beauty and confidence don't depend on other people's opinions, and we are living embodiments of the divine goddess. Feminine energy, there's more ease, there's more flow, there's more grace when we return to our natural state within ourselves. Something magical happens when we can wake up to ourselves, reconnect with the deeper part that is timeless, ageless, nurturing, receptive, and open. And that's the divine feminine essence that's a part of all of us. And when we tap into that, it's full of ease, grace, and sensuality. And from that space of grounded connection, you can take action on inspired, intuitive responses. Take inspired action on behalf of something that is innately in you, and you can line up more with your destiny, be more open and receptive to receiving. And that's what's so great about this book, Igniting the Modern Goddess, which are stories from all these women that you can get inspired. You see a little bit of yourself in these women, and they're showing how they too themselves have gotten in touch with that beautiful feminine essence. Like literally, when we can tap into that, it's such a beautiful, juicy, vibrant thing. It's something that we all have within us, and we can access it at any time. Let me tell you a little bit about Ruqaya Kalla, who is one of the authors of this book. She is a successful entrepreneur and an intuitive and holistic healer. She has spent years sharpening her skills and training across the globe with some of the most prominent leaders in the personal growth field. In addition to specializing in neuro-linguistic programming, she is also an intuitive coach. With a budding practice as a life coach for both adults and kids, Ruqaya attributes her success to her ongoing dedication to studying new ideas, theories, and practices, enabling her to be at the top of her field. Not only is she all that, but she is also the CEO of a successful imports and export company, proving that one woman, in fact, can wear many hats. And one of the many hats she wears is that of motherhood. She is a mother of 5. Ruqaya embraces the importance of self-care and lives a passion-filled life, not only for her clients, but her children as well. And her wish for you? Live your most beautiful life every single day. Welcome, Ruqaya. Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
I'm so honored to have you here all the way from South Africa, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Well, you're welcome. I am so thrilled to have you here because as my listeners know that I'm such a proponent of feminine energy. You are a co-author of this amazing book that I started delving into, Ignite the Modern Goddess, Awakening Feminine Energy. And I love the message behind it, because if more women can awaken to who they are, they can live the life that they're destined to have. And I absolutely love the foreword by Reagan Hiller, who is also a speaker, entrepreneur, and a manifestation coach. The more women recognize we have this potential in us, the further our message will reach, and together more impact will create. And I feel that more now than ever, us women really need to wake up and join together, because we need to return, in I feel, to a more feminine society, because the world has gotten so heated with all this masculine energy that it's about to combust. And I love that we're going back to joining together as women, because back in ancient cultures, we needed each other and we relied on each other to raise our families, to take care of the home, to really create community. And for women to return to community and their authenticity within themselves, I think our world is going to change because of that. So I just honor you and all the other women that collaborated in this book.
Thank you so much. It was amazing. It was really amazing and such a blessing to be a part of.
Yes. And so how did this come to you? How did this find you? What was the experience like?
So Hannah Morales was one of the I, I believe she was like kind of managing the book, and what she did was she invited me as a to join with the rest of the authors. And when she invited me initially, I was like second guessing it, and I was traveling actually at the time. And eventually I got back to her and I said, okay, I'm on board, because I was like feeling, okay, I need to do something different, right? And after I agreed to do it, when I got back from my trip, we were actually just going into this whole COVID cycle, because it was around the beginning of March. And as I got back from the US, and as I got back, things started to change, and we started going into lockdowns and all kinds of things due to COVID. And then on top of that, I was remembering that I had committed to do the book, right, to do the chapter. And I was feeling like, okay, maybe I overcommitted. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I was like starting to second guess everything. And as I was going through, Hannah was checking in with me. Are you okay? Are you managing? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I was thinking, okay, I'll get it done at some point. It's fine. I still got time. And before you know it, time was just flying by. And I had a point where I was a little bit sick. So I said to her, you know what, I'm sick right now. So as soon as like that's over, and then I was like, I was exhausted. So I was like, and then I had the kids homeschooling and like all kinds of things happening at the same time.
And you have
Work
5
stuff.
kids.
Yes, I do.
I
Yes,
want
I
my
have
audience
5
to know
kids.
this gorgeous woman here has 5 kids, and the oldest one is 20. I'm just astounded. And that
Thank you
you,
so much.
and then you dove into creating this book as well. So you were probably homeschooling the kids at this point, right?
I was.
Oh,
I was.
Lord.
That's right. So they were all home. Everybody was, was homeschooling and online schooling. It was interesting. It was an interesting experience, but I have to say it was more manageable than I ever thought it would be. You know. Anyways, eventually Hannah was like, "Listen, you know what? I believe in you." And I was thinking, at some point she's gonna get tired and she's gonna like just let me off the hook, because I'm very much about loyalty. Okay. And once I've committed, I feel really bad. I don't want to let someone down. So, like, I was hoping Hannah would just say, it's okay, you don't have to do it. But she was like, no, people have to hear your story and you have to do it. You have to do it. I was like, okay, God, now I'm just going to have to do this. So I finally did. And it was like originally, actually, I don't know if you saw in the book, but each co-author had like a word that their
Mm-hmm.
story was about. So my original word that I chose was loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because then I was feeling loyal to Hannah to write the chapter, right? And loyalty is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I told Hannah, like, I'm really like not getting into this. And then she said, well, don't think about the word. Just do your story and then you can like decide if the word fits or not. So as I suddenly got into it, I realized that my story actually was about receiving. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe like a lot of women struggle with receiving, right? Receiving is so much more than we understand. It's even a compliment. It's a gift. It's a moment when someone wants to pay a bill for you, or like, you know how we go out as even girls, and then one person will say, I'm paying, and the other one go, no, 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 I'm
Yeah.
paying, because we, that kind of thing. Or when someone compliments you and says, oh, you look so beautiful, and you go like, oh no, today my hair is so like, oh, it's not good, but or you feel obligated to return a compliment. Oh, thank you so much, but you're amazing, you're so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you automatically feel like you have to overcompensate. Or when you get a gift and you want to overcompensate in return, because you feel so like, taken aback that someone gave you a gift, and then you go like, okay, now I need to give a double back, like, kind of. There's a
It's
lot of
like,
us that do that.
yeah, it's almost like it stems out of a guilt or a sense that we're givers and receiving is so important, like you're saying, but it's almost like it's a guilt, like, oh, well, I should give back to her instead of just sitting there and allowing it, right? So
Exactly.
there's like a
It feels like
vulnerability.
you feel guilty for just allowing it. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly
Hmm.
that. At some point, someone once said to me, have you ever thought that maybe you're actually robbing the other person of an opportunity to gift you something that they're actually want to feel happy that they did for you, and you're not allowing that? And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of it that way. Like, someone wants the opportunity. Say, let's say, like I went out for dinner with someone, and maybe they wanted to pay, and I'll be like, no, 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 I'll pay. Like, that's how I was. I find it very difficult to like accept. And so this person said, you're actually robbing them from an opportunity to do something nice for you that makes them feel happy. And I said, oh my God, like, I really didn't think about it that way. At one of the courses I was at, the instructor said to me, "You're so beautiful." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "Thank you." And I just carried on talking, right? Like, I just continued into another sentence, and like, it's like almost like I went. So he said, "Did you hear me?" So I said, "I did." So he said, "Did you realize you didn't receive that?" I
Mm.
said, "Thank you." So he said, "You said thank you so fast, and you moved past it so fast, you didn't actually stop to receive it." So I said, "I really didn't see it that way." And then, and he spoke to me a bit, because at that time he was busy working with me, and he was actually trying to prove that I'm not receiving in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. And after that, he said to me, the next time you go out with someone, or you meet someone and they want to pay for your dinner or something, say thank you. So I said, okay, that's going to be very challenging for me, because that's not something I usually do, but okay, I'll try it. So that same night, a friend of mine had invited me out to dinner, and she looked at me and she went like, "I'm paying." So I said, like, literally about to say, and I stopped myself, and I went like, "Thank you so much." And I stopped myself. And afterwards, I had to explain to her. Afterwards, I explained to her why I stopped myself and what happened earlier, and the whole receiving stories. It was so funny. But that was like the beginning of me realizing that we need to sometimes step back.
Mhm.
And the only way to kind of acknowledge yourself is to be able to receive, and to acknowledge when someone's acknowledging you,
Mhm.
and to at least grant them that. And I think that's an important thing to realize.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful because there's so many times we do brush it off. It's just stopping and breathing and taking it in and just really looking at them and acknowledging it's just thank you from your heart. And it's getting out of the head
Exactly.
into the heart and into the body like thank you. And that is receiving. You can tell when someone is really receiving it and brushing it off. So what a great lesson that was for you, for him to point that out to you. And it actually became the chapter in your book, right? It's about receiving.
Yeah, but the thing is that, like, he wasn't the first person to say that to me.
Mm,
It had been coming from too many different directions. And when he said it, he was more intent. The way he had said it to me was more intentional. It's like he wanted to show it to me and prove it to me that I wasn't receiving. You see?
mhm,
So when he said it, he like made me very aware of what was happening. And because of the circumstances, it was easier to understand what he meant. Whereas usually people say that to me, but they don't have an exact example on the spot. So they'll say to you, "Oh, you don't receive," and you like it's like it goes over your head, because they're not like calling you out on it at that moment. And he called me out on it in the moment.
mm,
So it was like, okay, I get it now. So it's like, it was interesting, yeah, no doubt. But the thing is that, like, with receiving, there's like so many aspects to it, because I believe that it has so much to do with your self-confidence and your own personal self-worth, right?
mhm.
Because we're always second guessing ourselves, and by doing that, we feel awkward by accepting something from
Mm-hmm.
someone else instead of just graciously saying, thank you, I so appreciate that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it is giving a gift to someone else. And you're willing to receive that. It's not criticism, but that input without being triggered. A lot of people will get triggered that, oh my gosh, I'm doing something wrong. Who does he think he is? Like you get triggered and defensive. You took that on and wore it and examined it and you changed because of it. Now the way you show up is so much different because you were willing to receive that feedback, right?
Absolutely. But I mean, like, I still catch myself like stepping like off track, but because I'm aware, I like
Mm-hmm.
bring myself back on track. Like a typical example was just, the compliments that came beneath the, like, when I posted about the book, I felt awkward posting about the book, right? Because then I'm calling on attention. And like, I felt like, okay, but I have to do it because of my sister authors, right? Because I mean, all of
Mm-hmm.
them like are doing it. How can I not participate in that? So I
Mm-hmm.
did it. Then what happened is people started complimenting, and going, wow, oh my God, congratulations. Wow, this is amazing. And then that became overwhelming. Like, oh, wow. Like, okay,
Mm.
do they know I just wrote one chapter? Oh my God, I better correct them. They better not, like, you get it. Like, it also, it went through my moment there. Like, okay, hello, your chapter's on receiving. Can you just
Mhm.
acknowledge and receive them? That's okay. Say thank you. And that's all you need. And at some point, I had said to someone, like maybe I even said it to a couple of people, that it was one chapter, but thank you so much. And then they go like, yeah, I know. It was one chapter that's published. That's amazing. And I go
Mhm.
like, oh, thank you. So they like, it's again, like I'm giving you something, receive it.
Mhm.
So it's like the lessons are everywhere if you're open to receiving.
Mhm.
So, but you need to be paying attention, right? Because it's in every aspect. And I feel like that's what allows a woman to step into her power, because a lot of the times we're judging ourselves more than other people are judging us. And we're assuming a lot of judgment upon ourselves. So we base our judgments on ourselves, assuming what other people think of us, if that makes sense. Like,
Mhm.
oh, if I do this, they'll think that. How do you know
Mhm.
they'll think that?
Mhm.
That's because you're thinking that, but you're judging yourself. You didn't even know what they're thinking,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like a cycle, and it just keeps you back, I feel. And for me, that was like the huge stepping stone into your power and acknowledging it. A simple thing would be like, I really want, like from a year ago, I wanted to use a specific, I want to say, title, if that's what you call it, for what I do. And I was trying to think about it, and I went for have you heard of human design code?
Yes.
Human design print?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did a
So
chart.
I went, you're right. I did a human design chart. Someone did my human design chart. And I was sitting with him, and he used the words evolutionary and consciousness. And it was an amazing reading. And I felt so empowered by it. I felt
Mhm.
amazing. And then you see, we let our heads get in the way and judge us, right? For being empowered by something someone said. So you want to bring, especially with me, I've always had this thing where I have to stay humble, but I always overlap the fact that it's either arrogant or humble. It's not either or, because you
Mhm.
can be just aware and just be empowered without being arrogant.
Mhm.
And I had created such a fine line between them that it was hard to kind of define myself. Oh, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but yet I would think like, did that come off arrogant? Did it come off presumptuous?
Mm.
That kind of thing. So, I mean, like for me, I really wanted to use the wording conscious evolutionary for what I do. And it took me a year. I only did it like literally right now after
Mhm.
the book is when I said, okay, I'm ready for it.
You
Before
owned
that, I
it.
was like thinking, yeah, I owned it. I finally said, okay, I'm ready to step into that, because
Mm.
if I don't now, then when? That for me was a big step, because I kept thinking, okay, well, people assume that I'm like, it's too high for me, or like, and I was like, what do you care? That's the whole point, right?
Mhm.
People who actually step into their power and are willing to acknowledge what they can bring out for other people are the ones who are actually growing out there, not those that are sitting in the back and saying, oh, I wish, because
Mhm.
you're never going to actually get out there then, right?
Mhm. Yeah, no.
So
And as you're saying that, I keep thinking of, I think it's the Marianne Williamson's quote. People keep saying it's a different person's quote, but it's just about who am I not to shine my light? I deserve to have the light shown upon me. So when the light is shown upon us, it's all the old programming we've learned as growing up. And as a young girl growing up, it's like, oh, just be modest and it's, keep just be quiet, and we're givers, and who are you? And we project these scenarios in our head about how another person is going to think about us, because at some point we were hurt because we shone our light, and then we got squashed at some point. So we still remember that. But what people think of us is nobody's business. And when we embrace who we are from a real authentic level, and we live in that space, like, it's who I am, and what you think about me is none of my business. And when you're grounded down in that authentic space, it's who you are. So nobody can tell you that you're not that, because it's who you are. And
Exactly.
yes. And receiving, I mean, what a better chapter for you, especially since now that you're advertising it, because it's like how you were afraid to put it up on Facebook, or not afraid, but you were just like hesitant to put it on Facebook because you're shining the light up on yourself. But when you took there's 34 other women, there are 34 authors, so 33 other women, right? That were alongside you. You take yourself out of that equation because you're supporting your community. It's not about you. Who am I to not share this with the world? Because there's women that need this. So I'm taking my ego out of the way, and I'm offering something for other women to grow and to learn from and to be inspired. And you're supporting all the other women in your community that have their stories to be told. So when you can take yourself out of that equation, it's not about you. It's about your gift that you're sharing.
Exactly. Exactly. It's more about everyone else. So aside from it being about the other authors, it's also about the people that have the opportunity to be able to download it, or to be able to get a hold of it, so they can read it and they can experience, or like be understood, also feel understood, feel whatever each author brought to the table, feel those, the passion from each story. And I think that was important as well, aside from just the authors, which was for me an amazing group of women, and they all had such beautiful stories. And I feel like that for me was very important, to make sure like I did my part as well, right? So so it was very important. And also, after you do it and you finally step into it, it's almost like it becomes a little easier, because every time you step out of your comfort zone, you can step further out, right? But if you don't even take one step out, then you're never going to get out of the circle. You're just going to live within this little bubble that you've built, and that's all you're going to see, and you can't grow further than that. And also, we're constantly evolving, right? Everybody's constantly evolving, so you can never ever learn enough. Like, you always growing, always evolving, and always getting better in everything we do.
Because the growth is in the uncomfortable. And if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. So each time, like, I've had a lot of uncomfortable the last year, everything's been uncomfortable, but I've grown because of it. And what's the alternative? It's just staying stuck and staying in one place. So I love this quote in here. I think in this book, it says, "You are more than your past, and you have so much to look forward to in the future. You are a goddess who has the unlimited capacity to manifest anything you desire. Many of us unknowingly became disconnected from this divine power. We grew accustomed to lowering our standards by allowing others to define who we are." And that's what keeps us small.
Yeah, because we're always basing everything on projections of others, right? On our opinion of what other people might think of us, or even other people's opinions, because we take their opinions. And like you said, someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. And in the end, without that, you can grow far more than you would if you take people's opinions. But that's your choice, right? In the end, everything is choice. Everything is based on choice. And we have the choice to either take on other people's opinions of us and buy into belief systems, fears, phobias, or we have the choice to say, okay, I'm finally going to step out. I'm finally going to shift. I'm finally going to let go of all of this, and I'm finally going to step into my power. And I can tell you that so obviously there was a journey in this, right? The chapter is basically a part of that journey. It's obviously, much longer than that, but that was the main parts, right? But like, I feel like the moment you step in, like for me, was that I'm like, so I do intuitive holistic healing, right? And I felt like sometimes, when something comes up, instead of just allowing it to flow, the intuition, I would stop it by judging myself, like, what if it's not right? Or like it would stop before it gets out my mouth, and it would be filtered here and then come out my mouth. And then it's like, 50-50, or it's like not wrong, but it's edited. Let's put it that way. It's filtered, so I'll try and go in at the lowest, like, this smallest way, just subtly. And sometimes I will filter it out completely and I'll be like, no, 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 we're not going to say that. And since I like kind of stepped into it and I said, you know what, it's okay to be wrong. It's not the end of the world. If you're wrong, you're wrong. It's cool. It'll only teach you a lesson. It'll only grow you better.
Mm-hmm.
And when I stepped into that and I was like, it's okay. And if the person behind is judging me, it's also fine. And the moment I did that and I started to just allow the intuitive senses or the downloading or the
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it to just flow, it was
Mm-hmm.
like unbelievable. And the moment I'm dealing with like a client or a person on the other end that's actually open to it, it's even more beautiful, that
Mm-hmm.
it's like just flows and it's amazing. I mean, like the more you step into your light, the more you step out of the shadows, the more you get to grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in intuitive counseling that you do, right? Is it holistic?
Yes.
Is it for like the body? What is it for? Is it like readings or?
Yeah. So the holistic side comes in because I do healing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so I do healing as well as coaching. And so the thing is that from the coaching side, I coach them through a lesson or like through something mindset shifting or like personal growth and development or something that they're going through. The holistic side is that I do sessions as well for healing, as in body pains or emotional issues or basically anything that you need healing from. And what I found is that the combination has created different shifts. So even if I'm just doing a coaching session, we're creating some healing in the subconscious at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm intuitively healing the person, it's kind of like I'm doing both at the same time. It kind of just overlaps, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's a little different, but it has been quite effective. And as long as people are open to healing and growing and
Mm-hmm.
changing, that for me is like my ideal person to work with, is someone who's ready for it, someone who's there and they're ready for growth and for the
Mm-hmm.
next step and for change.
Mm-hmm.
That for me is like I would give everything for that. Like I love those people because then that it like it's I enjoy watching people change and grow and develop. It's like a passion of mine.
Mm-hmm. And as a healer, as a intuitive, you really have to receive. You have to, if you're an open channel and you get yourself out of the way, it's like this is such a perfect like
Yep.
chapter lesson, receiving everything, because you have to open up and you really have to trust yourself. It's not even trusting
True.
yourself, it's trusting what you're given, getting yourself in a lot
Yes.
out of the way, allowing it to flow through and out of you, not for you to filter, but for your client to hear and for them to take in
Exactly.
however it resonates and clicks with them, right?
Exactly. And sometimes you'll find that I'll say something and then the client will go like, no, that never happened. Or no, I don't ever feel like that. And I'll go like, okay, sure. And then they'll straight away go into explaining me something. And then I'll be like, okay, so do you realize what you just said? And then she'll have to think about it, or he will have to think about it. And they'll go like, I just said the same thing you said. I just said it differently. I said, yeah, see, it just based on your understanding of maybe the words I used were slightly different from what you understood. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just very interesting because then they come to the same conclusion. They just come to it in different words. So
Mm-hmm.
it's fun to watch that happen. It's nice because I love seeing them develop from that, and it opens up things. It's like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. Like, so it's like it's
Mm-hmm.
fun. I enjoy it.
So that on both ends, it's like they're receiving your information and you're receiving their feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, you're
going back,
right. So it's both ways.
yeah. So going back to the back book a little bit, I had read, well, there's 34 authors. And what I love is the foreword where they were saying that it wasn't overly edited and each of yours expression came out the way, it wasn't like perfect, but they allowed the authors to express however they would express. It wasn't like polished up, over edited. It could have been made perfect. And that there's like no filters to your authentic expression. And after each story, there's ignite action steps. There's tangible things
Yes.
that the goddess did to love and embody the goddess within them, right?
Right.
Or for
Yes.
action steps for others to take.
Yeah. Each author gave like a set of action steps that they suggested for the reader.
Oh, for the reader. Okay. As something that they learned through their own
Something
process.
that they learned,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're putting it forward to the reader,
Mm-hmm.
so that when the reader reads that as action steps, that's how the reader can take actions for
Yes.
change.
Yes. And it
It's
really helps when they learn from someone else. People connect when something else that they've gone through and they've overcome. I find that's
yes.
how most people can really relate, and especially women can relate to women. Oh, she went through that. Oh, great. Like I can do these things and it helped her and that can help me as well.
Yeah, something like that. So it was just like, it was kind of like when you say action steps, it was like what I want for you as well. What I like,
Mm,
what I think is important for us to do, or for us, so that we can create change for each other as well.
mm-hmm,
I mean, like, that's what I took out of the action steps as well.
mm-hmm. And offering insights that they can take on themselves.
Yes.
And in this book, every woman has a power quote. What was yours?
So my power quote was, what you bring to the world from inside of yourself is what you empower others with.
And that's 100,000% true. Beautiful. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, what are some of the things you could tell a woman, advise a woman right now from all these insights that we've had in this book and from everything that you've learned through your own processes as a woman and embracing your femininity and your goddess nature? What are some tangible steps right now that a woman that's listening right now can take?
Okay, so like, I would definitely say that it's important to embrace yourself in every way, your flaws, your good points, to pay attention to your good points, and to let go of those flaws that you have that you feel you can't let go of. It's
Mm-hmm.
important to work on those too. However, it is important to focus on the good.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely suggest that, every woman love with an open heart, because I believe that we all deserve to be able to love each other openly.
Mm-hmm.
I want each woman to see themselves truly. There's so much more to us
Mm-hmm.
than we ever imagined. I mean, we haven't even gotten to our true potential at all, not even if you've grown, because every day we keep growing. And it's always about focusing inwards, embracing yourself, and knowing that you are perfect as you are. Being a goddess is not about perfection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because being a goddess is about embracing yourself
Mm-hmm.
as you are, and being grateful for what you have, from being grateful for yourself and those around you.
So right now, total acceptance, love, self-love, and embracing yourself and loving yourself. And it's not just the perceived perfections,
Yes.
perceived flaws, because we are beautiful. We come here as spirit. Just all our perceptions that are like clouding us and keeping us down. So it's embracing your darkness, and it's embracing your emotions. It's embracing your
Your
shadows,
weakness.
because that's, yeah, your
Yeah.
weaknesses, because that's who you are. If you don't have one, you don't have the other. So if you don't see the dark in yourself, you're not going to see the light.
Right.
And nobody is perfect. What is perfection?
Exactly.
One person's perfection is not the other person's. So
Exactly.
yes. So I would love to hear what is lighting you up right now. What is next for you?
I think what's next for me is just expanding my healing business.
Mhm.
That's for sure. It's not my primary business. I actually do I do imports and exports as my
Mm.
primary business, but that's also something I love, my entrepreneurial side. I'm definitely looking to expand my healing business and take it online, and the next steps for that. And I think I'm ready for that now.
Are there going to be any press, or are you going to, well, it's COVID. I was going to say, do you have any like a book tour or anything, but maybe you're going to have a virtual
Yeah,
book
everything's
tour?
changed.
Yeah.
We had a launch on the
Mm-hmm.
weekend, and we had to have it online. It was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be in Los Angeles, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's okay. Everything happens for the best.
Mm-hmm.
COVID has had, some impacts in so many ways. I mean, massive impacts with a lot of people, unfortunately. But I mean, in the general sense, like, I feel like there's so much good that also came out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have
Absolutely.
to, it's important to kind of focus on the
Mm-hmm.
goodness of what it
Mm-hmm.
brought, rather than all the negativity out there. I feel like when you embrace that, it's when you actually really move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, honestly, like, we didn't get to do any of what we were supposed to, but it's fine. We did it the best we could. and that was still amazing in its own way. And yeah, I mean, like the book made a bestseller in 8 countries, I think in 18 categories. So that was amazing, and I thought that was great, fantastic. And I think that there's so much more for the book though, because now I feel like so much more excited to even think about maybe writing a whole book at some point, you know? I mean, it feels like it's a possibility. It's like created so many possibilities. And I believe like even the women that read it will feel like they have more to look forward to, you know, and there's more possibilities out there for all women. I mean, mothers especially, I feel like we're so hard on ourselves, moms, you know, oh, we put everybody first and then we forget about ourselves, or like we put ourselves last. And it's important to consider yourself, to put yourself first. Sometimes it's not selfish, it's actually beneficial for everybody, including your whole family. We get surprised sometimes that we may be actually, if we just for a change put ourselves first, it may actually give our children more to actually look forward to, because they'll be inspired by their own mom, you know, which is even more amazing, I think.
Yeah, and it's learning to fill your own cup first, and then you give from that overflow because you're giving from more at that point because you're full. It's just like
Exactly.
the oxygen mask
Correct.
that drops, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first in order to take care of your children or anyone else around you.
Exactly.
And how can our listeners find you or get a hold of this book? Do you have a website or an Instagram handle? Or
So my Instagram is Ruqaya Kalla. That's spelled Ruqaya Kalla. That's my main platform, but I'm also on Facebook. The book is available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle as well through Amazon. So I think that's easy enough. That's the only platform it is currently available on. And yeah, so, and they can always check out my website, but it's in process, but they can email me from there, and it's ruqayakalla.com.
Okay, great. And I will put those in the show notes so they
Thank
can
you.
find you and easily access this book. So to wrap things up, I would love to hear, you've already spoken to about giving from an open heart. And I always like to ask, what does it mean to you to have an awakened heart?
An awakened heart, for me, it's about unconditional love. It's about no judgment, and it's about allowing each person to be who they be without judging them. There's a difference between judgment and awareness. When you're aware that a person is the way they are, it just is. And if you're accepting them as they are, and you being unconditional in the way you treat them, like if you open your heart with love to everybody, then you'll be treated in the same way in return. And I mean, like, it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you'll be treated differently, but it's almost like you don't have to return that. If you return it in love, you'll still get love back eventually. Sometimes it takes longer for people to receive again, right? Because if you come with a bunch of love and someone can't receive it, they may react differently to you. But it doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong. That's not about you, right? So it doesn't mean you don't give love still and you want to try and pull it back. You still give love in return. And if they can't receive, eventually when they can, they'll see the bigger picture, you know?
I love that answer. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Ruqaya, thank you so much. And my listeners, everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much for joining us. And please pick up this book, Ignite the Modern Goddess, and let's awaken feminine energy in all of us. It is our divine right, goddess nature. Thanks again for joining. Thank you, Ruqaya.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all the listeners. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.